Alright, so we just did a review on absolute value inequalities and graphing linear equations. Now we're going to take a mix of these two. We're going to take the equation part and the inequality and learn how to graph linear inequalities. Okay, so let's go on this bottom part. It's not that bad. A linear inequality in two variables is the result of replacing the equal sign in a linear equation. So all we're doing is we're taking this equal sign in a linear equation, and it's going to be replaced with a, doesn't matter which order, but all four of the inequalities you know. Greater than, less than, greater than or equal, less than or equal. A solution of an inequality in two variables, x and y, is the ordered pair. What do you think I would put right here if it's an ordered pair? X and y. That produces a true statement where the values of x and y are substituted into the inequality. Okay, so like our bell ringer we did today, let's see if this solution is true if we plug in this point. So 8 is the x and 3 is y. So when we plug this in, we get 8 minus 3 is less than 5. Well, what's 8 minus 3?
5.
Is 5 less than 5?
8 equals.
It equals, but is it less than?
No.
No. So is this true?
No.
Nope. Not true.
That's what we do.
No.
Are you thinking of the equal is
If it said less than or equal, would it have been true? Yes. Okay, go to the next page. So when we're graphing these linear inequalities, it is going to represent the set of points of all solutions. So we're going to be able to graph whatever would be a solution to this equation. The line we are going to draw is called the boundary line. This boundary line is going to divide our coordinate plane into two halves. When we divide it by a boundary line, only half of the plane is going to contain the solution. Of the inequality. So we're going to graph these linear inequalities. When we graph them, there's going to be this line called the boundary line. This boundary line is going to tell you what is a solution and what's not a solution. Here's the thing about graphing inequalities. So when you're graphing this boundary line that I've told you about, you have to use a dashed line. A dashed line looks like this. It's just little dashes, so draw that there. You're going to use a dashed line if it is less than or greater than. Use a solid line if it is greater than or equal or less than or equal. So just like when we were graphing inequalities, like on that poster in the back, if it has an equal sign underneath, you fill it in, right? Well, if it is greater than or equal to, fill in the line. If it is just less than or greater than, you're going to do a dash, just like an open circle. Okay? Now, there's one more thing. So this is talking about your line. Now you also have to shade above or below the line depending on what the solution is. So shade above the inequality if your sign is greater or equal. Shade below if the inequality symbol is less than or less than equal. So if it's great or, we're going to shade above it because it's bigger, it's greater. If it's less than, it's going to be little, so we're going to shade underneath it. Okay, so what I want you to do, here are examples. For this moment, just for one moment, pretend this is an equal sign. Graph it the same exact way. Where do I begin? -3, because your B is -3. So go down to -3. Now, if you're used to just plotting 2 points, you're going to have to do the whole plane because we have to draw a boundary line through the whole thing. So we know to start at -3, and what's our slope? 4, but if there's not a number, I can say 4 over what? 1. Is this positive or negative? Positive. So from our beginning point, let's go up 4 over 1. Up 4 over 1. Up 4 over 1. I can't go any further because I go off the grid. Go down 4 over 1. Great. So that's what we just graphed, just like last week. The only difference now is when you draw your line. I have a less than. So what kind of circle does that mean? Open or close? Open circle. So that means I'm going to use a dashed line. So we're going to use a dashed line. So when you're doing this, make it dashed.
Okay.
What kind of symbol am I using? Greater or less than?
Greater.
Greater. So the solution is bigger. So does it go on top or bottom? It's bigger. So top. So now all you need to do is shade in the bigger top. The greater. The top. So what does this mean? This means that the solution that makes this inequality true is somewhere above this line. What kind of line is this called? It is a positive slope, but there's a name for it. Boundary line. Boundary line. Okay, let's try number 2. What's my first step?
Begin on
What, Dylan? Your B. Good. Caitlin, what's our B? 3. Positive or negative? So I'm going to start at positive 3. Because that's where you begin. That's your beginning point. Up 3 over 4. Your slope. So we count rise over run. 1, 2, 3 over 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I can't go any further because I go off the grid. But what I can do is I can go down 3 in the opposite way 4. 1, 2, 3 over 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now before you draw your line, look at what we know. I know I'm using a greater or equal to. So when I'm graphing an inequality, that means it's a closed circle. Closed circle also goes with a solid line. So I'm going to put my ruler here, and I'm going to draw a solid line. That means the point that makes this inequality can be on this line. If it's a dashed line, that means it can't be on the line, it has to be bigger. So now, it's greater. Am I going to shade above or below? Above, because greater means bigger. We want the top half.
So if it's a positive slope, isn't it the top?
Not always. Look at this sign. Don't base the top or bottom off your slope. Base it off the sign. If it is greater, that's bigger, right? So it's going to go on top. This sign and this sign look the same? These are, yeah, because these are both greater. So we shaded both the tops because they were both greater. Now let's do a less than. So we're going to begin at 4. I still have a positive slope, but that doesn't determine where I shade my line. The slope determines where I put the points. So I'm going to go up 1 over 3, up 1 over 3, down 1 over 3, down 1 over 3. Am I going to use a dash or a solid line?
Are we going to use
Well, we use dashed because there's no equal sign. So a dashed line. Now, our sign is less than. So I'm going to shade the lower part. Less than, lower. So you're going to shade in all this. Okay, so what we're doing next, there's some more practice problems on the back. My goal is for you to finish this whole thing today. Technically, you have time. You're going to do these in class if you need to break it down. Do these in class. Do these 6 for homework. But you have enough time to work on getting all of this done in class.